Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of American Grit with myself, Tim Jensen. And boy, do we have a great show for you today. We have a very special guest. He's a fiery one, a Vietnam veteran and a great human that has been leading the VFW for about 2 years now and is going to be turning over his leadership to the new incoming national commander this year. And before he does that, we wanted to bring him on the show and tell you about the incredible things that he has done with the VFW and activating the incredible combat audience that makes up that membership, as well as driving the historical and honor memories of this organization and this cherished legacy that is celebrating its 125th anniversary this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the lion of the VFW. He is a U.S. Army veteran, and he's with us today, Al Lipphardt. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Tim. It's truly an honor for me to be here to share with you and your audience about the veterans of foreign wars.
Absolutely, and we've had the pleasure of meeting a few times over the years and throughout your leadership, most recently at the Military Influencer Conference. And we were just talking about that before the show, which was really great to see, which is a large demographic of veterans of the younger age, right? A lot of them recently separating within their first 4 years of post-service, and to see them receiving the VFW as they did was really quite awesome to see, because let's be honest, it's a new generation of the warfighter and it's much different. The VFW has a different vibe within this community, and to see that respect, it was great to see. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely. I was truly amazed when as we walked around and the respect and honor that the cover gets. Yeah. This cover dates back to the World War I. This was the first overseas award for deployment. And so it dates back. And while the younger generation, they talk about, we need to rethink this hat thing. And no, we don't.
Right.
Again, there's history here. It truly was a recognition of your service. Again, the veterans of foreign wars, we deploy. We understand the dangers that we're going into, and so as I like to say, we place ourselves between the weapons of our enemies and these shores. And one of the ways that we can recognize that is with this cover. So as I walked around, I'm seeing the current generation, and I thought I was a rock star. They were coming up. Can I shake your hand? And again, I'm just another warrior. That's what I am, and that's what the Veterans of Foreign Wars is. And one of my passions when I came into the VFW, I realized early on that unfortunately we had become civilianized. We had forgotten who we are, and we are warriors, and it's time we start acting like the warriors that we are. And so that's the approach I took. Again, I'm a different kind of guy. One of my nicknames in the VFW is the real deal, because this is it. Yeah. What you see is what you get. When I started my planning for my year in command, I wanted to start utilizing military terms again, so we can start thinking like warriors. So one of the things we do as you're coming up through the line is when you become the junior vice commander of a department, that's when the planning really starts. And so when I had my 52 commanders come in for training, I told them that you should consider this your alert order. And I had commanders looking at each other going, what's an alert order? So I had to remind them, I'm telling you, we're going to battle.
Yeah.
So we're planning. We're beginning our planning. Very few plans continue after the first shot's fired. It all starts over again. But you gotta plan.
Right.
So their next training was a year later when they were the senior vices, and I said, and I actually gave them a document. I said, now this is your warning order. And that warning order is to give you more detail, but not finite detail, but to give you more detail so that you can begin to build your staffs and get the things that you need to do to engage. And because in next year when we take command, the plan is going to come in the form of an operations order.
Yeah.
So it'll have the 5 paragraphs.
My favorite.
And telling them what was going to happen. And I said, now D-Day, we'll actually have a D-Day, and that's going to be August the 1st of 2024. That's when I'll be installed as the commander-in-chief of the VFW. But I want to share with you that unlike most operations that you go on that start at dark 30, that won't be our D-Day. Our D-Day, we're actually going to disembark on at noon. And you may ask, well, why are we waiting till noon to go into battle? And my answer was pretty simple. I'm retired. I don't get up early. So we're going to delay it until noon, and then we'll kick off. And so that was that was the start. But it's really proved to be a very effective. We're having a very good year, not only in the form of membership and membership renewal and membership growth, but in the things that we're doing. Our staff is located in 2 locations. We have our national headquarters in Kansas City, and located there are 2 of our key leaders. One is our adjutant general. The adjutant general oversees the day-to-day operations of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We have our quartermaster general. Our quartermaster general oversees the financial stability of the organization, and they have their staffs. What's a commander-in-chief do? Commander-in-chief oversees the fraternal part of the organization, making sure that our membership is well communicated with, so they know what is going on. When 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, when we interviewed the adjutant general, Dan West, Dan asked me, and that's an appointed position at the discretion of the commander-in-chief, and he asked me, he says, well, Al, do you intend to keep me as the appointed adjutant general? And I said, well, why would I not? If you're doing the job, there's no need. There needs to be continuity there. Mm-hmm. So what I want you to do over these next 3 years is I want you to look at everything that's being done in the day-to-day operation, in our programs, in our marketing, in all the things that we do that impact not only the veteran, but impacts the communities in which we live. And so 3 years later, Dan has looked at every aspect of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and it's been streamlined.
Yeah.
I like to tell people that the VFW is moving in a new direction. and that new direction is forward. For way too long, the veterans of foreign wars, as most things in our country, people have been sitting on their hands, fat, dumb, and happy, thinking that that's how life was going to continue on. And we learned on 9/11 that's not how life is going to continue on. The world that we live in today is not the world that we lived in 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We are changing daily because the world is changing daily. And in order to change, this country needs to get back to its position of prominence. We are the United States of America. There's nothing else like it. And all you got to do is go somewhere else, and you'll figure it out right away. But unfortunately, we've allowed ourselves to be influenced by noisemakers, not doers, but people that like to talk a good game. And that's, we have a very strong relationship with Congress. However, I had the honor of testifying to the joint session of the House and Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. And one of the driving points we wanted to make, it was called Honor the Contract. And what that means is that when we went to an all-volunteer force, every veteran, whether they were going to be deployed or not, every veteran signed a contract. And that contract said that we would obey the orders of the President of the United States, that we would keep ourselves physically fit, mentally strong, and we would obey orders. If they said deploy, we would salute smartly and go deploy. Now, there was another signatory on that contract. Not only did the veteran sign the contract, the government signed the contract. The government's part of that contract. They said, if something should happen to you during your time in service, that's a result of what you were doing in service or a service connection, then we will take care of you. And all we're asking is for Congress to honor the contract. What Congress has been doing for the last 40, 50 years is moving the ball. They want to dangle some new thing because they're not delivering on an original promise. And so here, we'll make this will make you happy. No, it doesn't. The only thing we ask for is what we were promised to begin with. And that's how the Veterans of Foreign Wars started over 125 years ago. Nobody does this better than we do because we learned. And we learned that when it's all said and done, there's a lot more said than done. They just talk a good game. And I will tell you, as I shared with them, that's over. Honor the contract is not an ask. That's a requirement. They must honor the contract. Stop kicking the can down the road. When the PACT Act went into effect, you remember about 2 weeks, they put it on hold while they were all doing their little infighting between the Republicans and the Democrats. And I will tell you that the Veterans of Foreign Wars has no party affiliation. We are apolitical. Now, that is not to say that we don't take a position, because we do. But the position is, I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a veteran. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in one thing and one thing only, and that's veterans' issues. So while these yahoos were taking that 2 weeks while they were fighting over, well, I want to make sure we get credit for this, and I want to make sure I get credit for that, and we had people dying. because you're farting around, trying to make sure who gets the credit. I don't care who gets the credit. Get it done. If it would have been up to me, I'd have locked them in the damn room and said, when you all come out, it'll be because you've got an agreement, but you ain't leaving until you get it done. And that's what our country should expect out of our elected leaders. You know, I'm one of those that's outspoken. I will always defend a veteran if I think they've been wronged, if I think they've been disrespected, if I think they've been disparaged. When we were founded in 1899, we were founded based on two premises. One, take care of the veteran, surviving spouse, and orphan children. And the second, advocate on their behalf in the halls of conference. 1899, we were still getting screwed by our government, failing to do what they promised that they would do. And it's got to stop. It stops now.
Yeah, it's the what's that syndrome where you're just continually beaten and you got to keep going back for more.
Yeah, beatings will cease when morale improves.
Right.
Really?
Right. Yeah, I mean, everything you said there, that was a mouthful, Al. I appreciate the setting of the table there. I mean, you talked about so many things within the first moments here, and you're absolutely over target, right? There are so many aspects of the veteran experience, right, that we could be doing better, right? That the VFW could be leading the charge on, right? Because it holds the respect of the master class, right? That master class of the warfighter, the ones that have been on the plans and built the plans that have crumbled when the first shot was taken, and they were on the battlefield when they had to pick up their friends that have been destroyed by the very things that we planned for, and here we are. Years after the 20-year war, right? 60 years post-Vietnam, and the problems are still the same. Suicide, Agent Orange is replaced with the PACT Act and toxin exposure of a different sort. And, the warfighter is still being, put into a corner and said, nope, you're not dying. You know what you have? You have a moral injury. And you know what? Maybe we're going to give you a whole bunch of opioids, to solve that. And if the opioids don't work, what we have for you? We have these psychotropics. That's going to make you feel really good and forget about all your problems, right? And essentially, that's what we've been doing again. We didn't learn from the Vietnam era, and we're doing it all again with this era. And to your point of during the PACT Act, man, it was great to see the VFW participating in it, right? There were several moments during the sit-in on the steps that, members like Christine and Pat Murray were out there with us on those steps, right? And sharing those moments. That is what the veteran opportunity, that's what the veteran, I believe, that was the best moments in the last few years of what the veteran community can do. Is step up and represent and be that force of change. Because when everybody in this country is looking for who do we follow, the answer is clearly right in front of them. The 1% that have raised their hands and said, if not you, that whole, I'm going to mess that whole saying up, but if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Well, we're the ones that raised our hand, and we're the ones that, and to this day, still hold that belief to the Constitution.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's that one of the things that happened this year in Washington for the legislative, for our testimony is that annual testimony has been going on for a long time. And it used to be called the Legislative Conference. And we needed to get away from that because it was so much more than just a legislative conference. So we adopted the name. This is the Washington Conference. When I started campaigning for to be commander-in-chief, I often would say, and even after I went into the chairs, I often would say, don't be surprised if I don't say on some day, next Tuesday, I want you to meet me in Washington, D.C., perhaps on the Mall. Because the only time we've ever been able to really get Congress to pay attention is when we showed up in massive numbers. Well, I believe in divine providence. So normally our testimony is given on Wednesdays. It's been that way for years, until this year. So this year, we were told that our testimony was going to be on Tuesday. Okay, no big deal. I don't know if you remember the date of Tuesday. It was the 4th day of March.
March 4th.
Oh, wait, March 4th. So there's our command. So I welcomed VFW members. Come to Washington, D.C. Be with us. Our legislative committee, our appointees, they've been briefed and they've taken on the role of interfacing with our legislators. But you can be here. So what I want you to do is I want you to wear your cover. And I want you to come to D.C. And I want you to fill the halls. I want to see hats in the halls because those hats are going to get noticed. And it happened. We had the largest attendance we've had in Washington, D.C. for this Washington conference in years. And there were a lot of people that woke up and said, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on is
all my friends are gone.
Honor the contract.
Yeah. All my friends are gone. Like Billy committed suicide 3 years ago. And Frank over here died of cancer.
Yeah. And all you do is talk about it.
Yeah.
We're not talking.
No, the talking is over.
The talking is over.
And Al, that's why I love you, man. Like we need, follow me, right? That is a saying that we have heard through our military careers and our veteran life for forever. But what are we doing who are we following right now? Because we need a leader. We need someone to stand up like Al Lipphardt and say, it's over. The days of treating us, the veteran class, like second-rate citizens that, are going to get second-rate health care and we're going to watch our friends die while we're trying to make change? No, sir.
The time I'm a little long in the tooth. I've been around a couple of days. And back in the 60s, when we'd go on sick call, they'd give us a green pill, a red pill, and a bottle of something and say, here, take this and come back later. Mm-hmm. Those days are gone. Mm-hmm. There's not a magic bullet. And we've God knows we should have understood this years and years ago. This false claim of 22 a day for suicide is so misreported. It is so much more than that. And we've got to accept and understand that you can't just take a pill. It doesn't work for everybody. We need to look at new methods, new treatments, because you can't keep us on opioids.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the language that is being used in these conversations, right? It seems like the status quo hides behind this idea of evidence-based therapies, right? And you can read the suicide prevention reports. I mean, we're all educated people, right? We can get through 70 pages of nonsense and be like, oh, I'm not any more enlightened than I was 69 pages ago. But when it comes to this positioning within the VA and other parts of the government that doesn't even want to give any attention to the emerging evidence of therapies like hyperbaric chamber.
Right.
That could save hundreds of thousands of lives if we just start applying it, right? I've heard of some horror stories from partners of ours that advise us on hyperbaric chambers, like Dr. Robert Beckman, who's a leading HBOT professional in the United States of America, who shared some incredible information with us that over 700,000 veterans in the VHA have died from diabetic ulcer amputations that could have been saved had they just had exposure to HBOT.
Wow.
Right? That's 700,000 of our brothers and sisters.
Right.
They're just thrown away. Yeah. Right. And the crazy part of that is, the biggest challenge when dealing with amputation, as we understand, is the period of time after that surgery, right? You have that window of time, 3 to 5 years before you have some, potentially devastating, life-altering circumstance that could take your life. We know that science exists, but we don't want to give access to a potential soft tissue therapy treatment that is designed for this type of therapy.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind, man. Like, what are we doing, right? And I think it's because we've been medicated into such a position that we can't stand up for and say anything, because if we do, we're worried that our benefits are going to be taken away. We're worried that we're going to be called, psycho or a broken toy. We're going to be worried that our friends and family are going to look at us differently. Right? There's all these things are stacked against us, and what at the end of it, it's like, well, I might as well just commit suicide because there's nothing better for me.
Suicide is, I've lost all hope.
Yeah,
there is no hope, and there is. And again, it is time for us to stop. Don't accept it. Fight back.
Yeah.
That fight back thing is what happened to having the courage of your convictions. Stand up for what you believe in.
Yes. It's incredibly terrifying, and you could feel incredibly alone while doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, but God damn it. Like, I will stand on my character every goddamn day.
You betcha.
And know that I might be the only one doing that at the time. But fuck, man, like what is happening is out of control.
When
excuse my language.
when I shake your hand, it's been shook.
Yeah.
That my hand is my word. It's the only thing that belongs to me.
Yes.
I can't loan it to anybody else. Nobody else can take it away from me. My word is my bond. By the same token, you just shook my hand, which means you will honor your word, and I can count on that. I tell you, I've shared with legislators. I would go to war for this nation today, but only on 3 conditions, because I've been at war before. So one of the conditions is I'm a warrior. I'm an infantry soldier. War is for warriors. So that being said, it sounds a little harsh, as it should. You tell me who you want me to go kill, and I'll go kill him.
Right.
That's my job. That's what we were trained to do. That's one of the conditions. The second condition is I just did that. Now I'm coming home. No, you can't go. You can't leave. You can't go home. Why not? Well, we need you to stay in the deployment to keep the peace. And that's not me. I'm a warrior. Mm-hmm. I hurt people because that's what we do. War is not a sport. It's not for participation.
It's not for babysitting either.
Nope. I say that there are people that are trained to keep the peace. Obviously, law enforcement. but also civil affairs. I mean, there's all kind of other people to do that, but not warriors. Again, we're going to hurt people. So that's my second condition. Now, my third condition really is my first condition. Because, Congressman, when you go, then I will go. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to go to war, or you're not going to invest your family, then don't ask me to go or invest my family. War is for everyone. World War II had it right. When our men and women left our shores, they understood they weren't coming home until it was done. Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a motivator. And again, it's war is cruel. That's just, if you're not willing to give it everything, don't do it. But if we're going to do it, by God, we're going to be victorious.
Yeah, that's right.
And it will be as many of our forefathers said from World War II, the only thing that is acceptable is complete and total victory.
Total victory.
Total victory.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and this is coming from a man, 2 tours of Vietnam, Bronze Star.
Yeah.
Right, as yourself. And
by the way, that was last week. It wasn't in my mind, it wasn't 60 years ago.
That's right.
If you were to ask me when I was in Vietnam, I could honestly say I was there a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
Because thank God it's still here. I remember. I don't ever want to forget.
Yeah.
I don't. When I speak to an audience, I have 5 people I invite to join me, and they're 5 men I lost on 4 of them I lost on Thanksgiving Day of 1967.
That's right.
The other one I lost a week before when he stepped on a mine. But I told my men I would never forget them, and I would honor them. And I do that by saying their names, because I'm not going to forget, but I don't want our country to forget of the sacrifices. And again, it's not just the warrior. It's our families who've had to endure that loss. And
That's right. I remember you sharing that with us, and it was at the Washington Legislative Action, and it was at a particular get together afterwards, and you shared that with us. And my associate Will Wisner and I went and visited panel C31 and visited with those gentlemen, those 5 names that you shared with us. And we have a tradition that we normally do. It's a little bit different than most, but one that I'm very happy to share. Whenever we are in Washington, Will and I will always make it a point to bring as many people with us as possible to share a moment at the Vietnam Memorial with our brothers and sisters that didn't make it back, and share a little bit of cannabis, as they would have done in those days. Yeah. And we had a very special moment with your 5 brothers, and we were very happy to share that moment with. And thank you for sharing it with us. That was very special.
It used to be. I kept that. I carried that survivor's guilt for well over 40 years, and through group therapy, I was able to come to the realization that I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
You ask a warrior how they're doing. When the response is "I'm fine," that means that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
But I just I'll deal with it myself, and of course you can't deal with it yourself. You need help, and that's what the veterans of foreign wars, that camaraderie that we share. I don't care what conflict. I don't care if you're a World War II vet or whatever conflict. Whether you were part of Bosnia or Somalia, and all the other shitholes we've been in. When you got bullets whizzing over your head, that sound is the same sound.
Yeah.
When you have to face the smell of death, you smell it. You know what it smells like. You know what those sounds are, and they're always with you. And as I told my therapist, he said, we can't remove these memories. And I said, God, I don't want you to remove the memories. These memories are why I am who I am and why I do what I do. And I don't want to forget. I want to be able to deal with them differently. If it's I am not suicidal. I don't have suicidal tendencies. Homicidal? That could be a whole other issue.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the curse of the warrior. The part of being a member of that tribe is the burden that comes along with it as well, and that's not something that you're just going to be able to pick up and put down. Right, you carry that for forever, and I think that's what makes us different.
That camaraderie that we share.
Yeah,
I'm very fond of saying that. If I'm at a VFW meeting, and by the way, that's where heroes meet and warriors gather,
yeah.
is at VFW. It doesn't matter which way I turn. I'm facing you right now, but I've got a comrade behind me, and I know it doesn't matter which way I turn.
Yeah, somebody's
got my back, and that's what we need the warriors of today to understand. It took me a long time. I came home from Vietnam the first time in 1967. I joined the VFW in 2002. What the hell took me so long? Well, first off, I'm a slow learner. You're right. I did do 2 tours. I was pretty sure I didn't like it the first time. So I went back and
I could confirm it.
Yeah. So I graduated from high school. I don't mind telling you, 1964. I graduated from college in 1990. Okay, I am a slow learner. All right, so it just goes. But I understand that they just got back. They have young families to raise. They have careers to establish, and they don't have time to go to a VFW meeting. There's sporting events and all those other things that families should do together. And that's what we want them to build, because family is what we're about. The tribe is what we are about. And they'll come around, and they're beginning to come around, to tell the Desert Storm, look how long you've been back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's.
I have a theory about that, like a particular timeline of things. And tell me if you see it similarly. But the way I see it is like you leave military service, right? Your first 4 years after your military life is like, I don't even want to look at it. I don't even want to know about it. If people ask me about it, I'll give you like a short little elevator thing. It's not me, man, right? And then your years 5 to 10, you're like, man, I'm starting to miss the bros, right? And years 10 to 15, you're like, I'm missing the tribe, right? Now you're wearing the gear, right? You're wearing the veteran stuff, right? 15 to 20, you got the hat on, right? You got your, I'm a GWAT vet, right? And then by year 20 plus, you're in the VFW or the Legion, one or the other, right? And that's pretty much the timeline I see it. And I think I'm right on pace. I joined, much like you, I joined the VFW, but I did after combat, but I didn't participate for a long period of time. Right. I came back in 2005. I joined in 2008, but it was this year that I joined here and become an active participating member of the VFW Post 76 in Texas, San Antonio. So now I'm a 3-year trustee. I've got elected into a position. I don't know how I got into that, right? But there I am. Yeah. But I'm like right in that path, right? And servicing, my brothers and sisters and shit, man. Like it's cool. It's cool. It's like it's fun to see. Like I'm part of a post that's just elected, the oldest post in all of Texas, right? Its number, like I didn't know the numbers are based on like the age of a VFW post, but this is a significantly old post, and it's just elected its first female commander. How awesome is that? Like that is amazing to see. Like all the GWAT people that are coming into that post is really cool to see, and I think the tide is turning to where we are about to get more veterans getting involved in advocacy for themselves, because I think much to your point is that we've got soft, right? We went and fought, and we put our pack down for a little bit because we wanted to take a knee, right? And by that, during that time of taking a knee, the world has gone and passed us by, and now we have to fight for our own, recognition again in terms of our health. What is the contract that is owed to us, and the fight is on again.
I share with Vietnam veterans. We bear a lot of responsibility for the condition that this country's in. Because again, we hate war, and we've let things go. It'll be all right. We don't need it. Let's just let them have their way. We forgot. You can't appease evil.
Yeah.
Evil is going to exist, and unless you confront it and you kill it, it's going to be there. And it's fortunately, I believe we've woken up. We've accepted that things can't go on the way they've gone on, and it must change.
Yeah.
And it will change.
Yeah.
Because we're going to make it. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, changes occurring this year within the VFW. This is, in the year that you have been running the National Commander's role, the Commanders in Chief. What do you feel like you've accomplished, and what are you handing off to the next commander coming in?
The first thing that I when I announced my candidacy, I went to the mic. There were 5 other people who were running, but I ran to the mic because I wanted to be the first one to speak. Tactically, you want to be the last one to speak. That way I can listen to what everybody else said and feed off of that. Well, I wanted to be first. And I said, I have a vision. My vision for the Veterans of Foreign Wars is based on 3 things. It's based on commitment, it's based on credibility, and it's based on courage. Those 3 C's. Well, again, I've been around the block a couple times. If you're trying to make a point, use 3. 3 works. 3 also happens to be the number of years that I'll be in leadership. Junior, which was commitment, senior, which was credibility, and the year as Commander-in-Chief, it's courage. Commitment had to do with our obligation to each other. We all took the same oath, and we were committed to this nation, committed to each other, and we need to get back to the principles that we learned when we first came into service, and that was loyalty and duty and respect and selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. That makes an acronym. It spells leadership, and that's what we as former military that's what we need to exercise. We need to exercise our leadership. We need to teach our children. There was a time when VFW halls were places where families would go. And then it kind of degraded into places where veterans would hide because we didn't want to be part of society. We're turning that around, because where are our children going to learn patriotism?
That's right.
Certainly not in our schools.
That's right.
It's not in many of our homes, single family parents. We need to get back to our basics. And the basic is treat everyone as you want to be treated. It's the golden rule.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting back to that. And that's one of the things that I had hoped to instill in our membership. I hope to instill an understanding between attitude and aptitude. Attitude is an emotion. Aptitude is a fact. So just because you feel good about something doesn't mean that you should be in charge.
Empathy and compassion, right?
Yeah. I put it. I wanted to be I wanted to be an NBA star center, and at 5'7", I became an excellent dribbler. I became an excellent shooter. That's my attitude. Now my aptitude to be a center in the NBA, that's 5'7" doesn't get it.
Right.
Right. So no matter how much I wish, yeah. And that's what we got to. We need to understand who we are, what our abilities are, and again take a serious look at who you are and what you're getting into. One of the things I love about the veterans of foreign wars is when I became commander-in-chief, it's because I said yes. When I became a post commander, it's because I said yes. With the veterans of foreign wars, if you're asked to serve, you have an opportunity to say no. That's for whatever reason. I don't need a reason. My reason is no. Okay, that's fine. Because the most important thing, I have a lot of titles. And I think you've heard me say that when you take this title away of chief, now my title is a past department. Take that away, take another one away. When it gets down to it, what's my title? My title is member. That's the most important person in the Veterans of Foreign Wars, is the individual member. We have an annual meeting, our national convention. It's where the rubber meets the road. The body, those delegates in attendance, they vote on what we're going to do or what we're not going to do. And when the body votes, then it becomes a bylaw or a resolution, but it's the body that approves it, not the commander-in-chief. I have one vote, just like every other member in good standing has one vote. And that's what I love about the organization.
Yeah.
We're a bottom-up, not a top-down.
Very true.
I like to think that I have a lot of influence, but I don't really have a whole lot of power. I got the power of the pen.
Yeah.
I approve everything or disapprove, but that's the only person. But even at that, it's not it's not that I'm infallible, because we have a council of administration. The council of administration can override the commander-in-chief. So it gets down to The individual member is who makes up this organization, and I think that's a great thing. And we have transitioned. 30 years ago, we didn't have. Actually, maybe 40 years ago, we really didn't have women in the VFW.
Yeah.
And now look, we are growing. We have 52 departments, 50 states and 2 departments. And of those commanders, 10 of them this year, the 24-25 year, are female. So the leadership is growing. We've come to understand these are people that are qualified to lead. They're comrades. No.
The aptitude is there.
Yeah.
The aptitude and the attitude is present.
Yeah. It's not. They're not the ladies. They're the comrades.
Yeah.
Just like they deployed. They put themselves out there. So they've earned that right. So we're changing, and that I think is of the things I wanted to try to do was to make change. Mm-hmm. There is I back about 30 years ago, I created a pin, and it's a 3-inch pin, and it said, "But we've always done it this way," and has a slash through it, and I think we have about eliminated that saying out of the veterans of foreign wars. Because if you keep doing the same things over and over again, you get complacent.
Well, insanity.
It becomes insane. Yeah. But you become complacent. When you become complacent, you start accepting mediocrity.
Yes.
You stop looking for excellence. And when you become mediocre, the next step is failure.
Yeah.
Because our nation was not built on mediocrity.
Absolutely not.
It was built on excellence, built on drive, built on initiative, innovation.
Yeah.
And it's time we get back.
That's
so
right.
the VFW national headquarters, thanks to Dan, he's looked at all these programs and he's made adjustments. We've made I don't want to call it a reorganization, but we've realigned. We've put people into the place that they should be in. We're utilizing their strengths. What a concept.
It's that Marine Corps leadership, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we're moving forward, and we're moving forward quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly. Partnerships.
Yeah. Going
out with like-minded individuals, with like-minded organizations who share a common purpose with the veterans of foreign wars, love of country, respect and care for our brothers and sisters in arms, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so we are growing this year. We'll finish the year at over 102%. And we went down a path many years ago of accepting 100% as being a good goal. Well, I tried to pass a bylaw when I came in as commander-in-chief, and I was going to make it against the bylaws for you to die. If you wanted to die, you had to get permission from me, because that's the only way we're going to stop, because people die. So when you say, well, I'm 100%, no, you're not. How many people have you lost this year? I'm a Vietnam vet. Like I said, I'm kind of long in the tooth. I got a lot of gas in the tank. I got a lot of energy, but each of us has an expiration date. none of us know when it is. So I hope mine is still down the road. But again, I'm a realist. I realize I got to do this now. There's no putting off until tomorrow, because I'm not promised tomorrow. So I'm going to do it. And like I said, I think World War II had it right. Go to war. When you're done, come home.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done. Don't make it a...
It's not a career, you know?
It's not like we shouldn't be in Europe for 30, 40 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Combating a secret, crazy, made-up enemy. I think that brings us together, right? Is that partnership, right? Through the legislative priorities that you spoke about, and how the membership comes to that, and really quickly, like, the membership is the most pure thing, right? To see it happen at the most local level is incredible, right?
It is.
To see how the local commander, the post commander, runs their membership meeting on the first Tuesday of every month, yada yada yada. It's really cool to see that, and the whole process. I've learned so much, being exposed to you and Dan West and Mark at the highest levels. I got to sit behind you during the legislative action in Washington. And that was incredible. Such an incredible process to work that you put in, learning that 3 days, 4 days of prep for every potential question that could be asked by a member of Congress, like the discipline that is required in that is just simply amazing. But I think this partnership between the Grunt Style Foundation, Grunt Style, and the VFW is a long time coming, right? And in terms of, like, let's talk about that attitude. Let's talk about, like, what does the veteran need to do to get back into the fight? And I think we're showing that by going to the VFW post, just becoming a member. That's step one. Right. Step two, look around and see what actually is happening. Take some inventory and say, you know what? We have a lot of problems. Where should I start? Should I start at overprescribing? Should I start at, mental health? Should I start at Claim Shark? Should I start at where do I need to plug in at on getting involved in my community? Right, there's so many avenues, so many areas to plug in at, and I think that's where I think we're gonna have a lot of fun together. Is illustrating and painting a picture for people. Like, yes, it's time to get off. Time to get off your ass.
Absolutely.
The idle hands have created this circumstance.
Exactly.
And it's going to take a lot of us old war fighters to put the pieces back together and really paint the picture of what right looks like. Because I certainly don't trust a goddamn politician to be doing that.
Nope.
Because they're the people that brought us to the point
Amen.
of this madness.
Yep. One of the things that has happened that had me so excited with the opportunity to work together is the Reverend Warriors.
Yes.
I went to a silky hike in Atlanta about 5 years ago. And they were like, really? You're going to walk? Yep. I didn't say how far.
Yeah.
but I'm going to walk because I care.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to understand is you're all veterans. I'm a veteran. There's nothing different about us other than there's some years separating us. But we all love this country. And we need to work together because that's how we're gonna grow and help. And it's as you acknowledged, my life's mantra is believe in what you do what you believe in, follow me. That follow me part is critical. I will lead by example. I won't ask you to do anything I'm not doing or haven't done, but if I'm doing it, I'm going to pester you to join me because I need for you to join me. There is safety in numbers, and numbers matter. And that's when we go to Washington, D.C., that's who's there, numbers. That's why we have an audience with the joint session of the House and the Senate. because of our numbers. They understand that we are 1.4 million, we're growing, but we're so much more than that. Those are our members, but we represent every veteran that's alive because they're our brothers and our sisters. And we may not be filing their benefits for them, but we're available to do that because we know who they are. We know their character. Now, there's a lot of other good veteran service organizations out there, and you mentioned the American Legion, and they're good. But there's a category. They're for service. We are different. We're combat veterans. And there is a difference. We understand the fragility of life. Blink of an eye, it changes. And so we live our life as minute by minute. Because, like I said, I'm not promised tomorrow. When it comes to the organization, the commander-in-chief is the ultimate authority. Our bylaws have a word in them that confuses a lot of people, and that word is shall. A lot of people think the word shall is an idea. It's a recommendation. And I remind people, remember Moses? Remember when he came down from the mountain, he had these tablets? And what did the tablets say? You shall. Yeah, that wasn't a suggestion. That was an order. And so if the bylaws say you shall, then you shall. You have one of two choices. You either abide by the bylaws or you get out. And there's nothing in those bylaws that anyone should believe would be contrary to their morals, to their faith. It's all about taking care.
It's black and white, just like combat.
Just like combat.
Just like combat.
Yeah.
Al, it's an incredible pleasure to know you, man.
Thank you. I'm truly honored. Like I said, this has been something that was not on my radar. But I can't handle mediocrity.
That's right.
And I can't handle, the most valuable character element to me is integrity. If respect is earned, as is trust. When you lose my trust, there can be no respect.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. I'm sorry. It's, I'll still like you.
Yeah. We'll be respectful.
Yeah. Right. But am I going to give it? Am I going to count on you?
Yeah.
No.
Am I going to invite you to my fighting position? Probably not.
No.
And that's how I look at life, man. Like it is that simple. It's like I got one hole, and I got one other person I can put in it. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the one that's looking after me?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And an eye for them. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
There's a lot. We have a lot in common, not only as warriors, but in our vision for the nation.
Yeah.
And again, making sure that this nation will go on for another 250 years.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the spectacular spectacle.
I'd like to think I'll be here another 250 years, but yeah.
No, I'm going to be honored to celebrate this 250 years with you.
Yeah, me too.
And and that's pretty fantastic that we're living in this moment, right? Of 250 years of this incredible idea, right? That born out of a couple of rebels that just didn't want to play the game anymore.
It's amazing when people will look at our founders and they're looking at these gray-haired old men.
Yeah.
No, they were rebels just like us.
Yes.
War is for the young.
That's right.
It's not for the old.
That's right. I remember a very particular story about George Washington, and to tell you about, as we read all these stories about how hard that man was, like the trials and tribulations that he had to go through. Lost in the wilderness and the French Indian Wars, all the acts against the British. But in that time period, to be a man that wore spectacles was to be a man who was embarrassed. And none of his officers knew that he wore spectacles. And the day of his retirement, as the story goes, is that he pulled out his spectacles to read his parting words to his staff, and they were so aghast by that gesture. But at the end of it, they were all like, "This motherfucking warrior is human, just like us."
Right. Yeah.
Just like us.
Just like us.
Right. And there is no warrior that has put on the pants, from Smedley Butler down to, present company of everybody in this room, that is nothing more than a man or woman that has raised their hand to defend this country. And, and that doesn't end when you take off the uniform.
No, it does not.
Right. And we have a responsibility to our country and to our countrymen to do a better job for them. And that's why I love this job. Right. And I love meeting individuals like yourself that feel this very same way and are using the organizations and their voice to empower and inspire Americans to stand up, because this is the greatest place on earth.
Yep.
Right. We have our fallacies.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah.
But, just like humans, we are not perfect. We are here to make a better way for everybody else. And, I know that you can go to rest knowing that you've done your part, and I'm on my path, and I hope that people are listening. You're on your path to create a better way forward.
Amen. Amen.
With that, my friend, any parting words for those that are listening? Words of encouragement to join the VFW.
Yeah, absolutely. The veterans, if you're a combat veteran, if you've been deployed, this is where you need to be. Yes, the other veteran service organizations are good, but when you meet a fellow warrior, you don't need an introduction. You already know that you know each other. As I say, when I go to a VFW meeting or meet another combat veteran, I know who they are, and I don't question their courage, because we all raised our hand, we all took the same oath, but not everybody was fortunate enough to be deployed. I consider it a tremendous honor that my nation sent me to war. Who I am today is because of what I did. And what I did was what my country asked me to do. And I say that the highest compliment that this nation can bestow upon you is to receive an honorable discharge. That speaks volumes about who you are. This stolen valor crap, stop embellishing your record. Mm-hmm. You have an honorable discharge. There ain't nothing higher.
That's right.
You can't wear it on your chest, but who needs to wear it on your chest? You know inside where your heart is.
Yeah. Yeah, we have this incredible I don't know what it is, but is it we're always trying to measure ourselves against special forces or the cool guy crowd, right? Of embellishing our service. Hey, man, it doesn't matter where you were, what you did, right? If you were in the rear with all the gear, or if you were kicking down doors and doing the cool guy stuff, everybody had a part and a place. Absolutely, right? Yeah. It's served with honor. The guy that's in finance and making sure my allotment goes home. That was an important part. Yeah. Everybody that wears the uniform with honor deserves respect.
And they'll certainly get it from the Veterans of Foreign Wars. However, in order to be a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, there are eligibility requirements.
Yeah.
And the President of the United States cannot be a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He is not a combat veteran. He does have the mind and the heart, but he does not have the record, and so he can't be a member. The Vice President can and is.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference. We have so many.
A Lance Corporal. God, that's still awesome, man. Still is awesome.
Yeah.
And and to the point, and I'll leave everybody with this. I experienced this myself. I was absolutely, and I say this with the most incredible truth, I guess would be the best way of saying that, is one of the moments that that will always be a memory of mine is being capped by you and Mr. West in Washington. That was an incredible gesture that did not need to be done, and was something that will forever be imprinted in my memory. And with that, I learned there comes a significant amount of responsibility of being a VFW member, but secondly, there's an incredible amount of authority that comes with being a VFW member. When you're in the presence of people of political power, when you break that hat out of its protective bag and you place that on your cover in your dome, people listen. People stop what they're saying, and you are the center of. This person has something to say and has some truth behind that. We should all listen. And I experienced that not only at the local level here, advocating for veterans in the state of Texas, but I experienced that at the national level, walking the halls and sharing on that day in Washington. So there's incredible power in the VFW that, if you're looking for that mission, if you're looking for a way of finding a way to contribute more, and maybe just you want a little bit of responsibility because you need some of that in your life, I encourage you to join the VFW. It is an organization that will, change the way that you look at things and put a different perspective in the way that we advocate for the veterans of this country. And I want to say thank you for helping me notice that and the things that you guys have exposed me to. So I say thank you.
Yeah, and you're more than welcome. And again, I'm truly humbled to be sitting here as Commander-in-Chief. Hoorah.
Well, sir, I appreciate your time, and I hope everybody got to learn a little bit about this incredible man and leader, chief of the VFW, Commander-in-Chief. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to one another. Wash those stinking hands, and we'll see you next time.